Nelson Balido is principal of Balido Associates and chairman of the Border Committee and Security Council. He, of course, is a consultant on trade and U.S.-Mexico border issues. Nelson, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate you today.
What are the possibilities? Do you view Mexico as having the potential to become, quote, the new China, unquote, in terms of a source of manufacturing?
You know, Robert, that's a great question. As China loses its luster, we've seen a lot of that happening for a while now. I mean, I think really before even Trump, being a member of the military, understanding the issues that we face globally, and especially in the intelligence field, I think a lot of folks are tired of getting their products copied or perhaps information stolen.
Intellectual property protection you're talking about.
Exactly. So that's been a big issue. And I think people are starting to realize that that's not the way to do real business. And that's unfortunately a lot of the times how China has grown as it has. So Mexico really has a great opportunity at this point. If you think about the new NAFTA or the USMCA, and what's happened there in really normalizing relations and products and services. When NAFTA was built or put together, there was not even, the internet didn't exist as we know it today.
Mm-hmm.
So there's been a lot of things that have been improved, labor relations, normalization of products and services and percentages and so forth. Certainly to the advantage, in some cases, to the U.S. And obviously it's going to have a little bit of advantage as well to the other countries. But it's something that needed to be done, an updated product on an old agreement that needed to be done.
Yeah.
So with that said, gosh, you look at the opportunity that you have south of the border. With these border states. And I've been in contact with a lot of these governors south of the border, and I go there often and meet with them, not so much with the federal administration. They've been a little bit difficult to deal with. And that's unfortunately a lot of the push-pull that I've seen in Mexico between border governors, some of which are on the opposition party, however, that understand a lot of this cross-border trade and business, where you have a federal government that has come in and really doesn't understand that and has put a lot of changes in place, what I would say not for the better. For example, having the military take over the customs service and perform a lot of those duties that we've seen recently, which is not really the role of the military. It is supposed to be a civilian agency. And I agree, look, there's corruption everywhere, and there happens to be a lot of corruption in many cases in Mexico, but you have to clean that up and you have to put best practices in places. I know the U.S. Embassy has been helping that with U.S. aid funds and things like that to train people. But at the end of the day, this administration has made things a little difficult. So the opportunity is absolutely there. If you think about proximity to the largest market in the world, which is the United States, in manufacturing, where I can manufacture in Juarez, Mexico, the other side of El Paso, and have next day air anywhere in the United States. You can be in Reynosa, have next day air anywhere in the United States. You see a humongous amount of fruits and vegetables now grown in Mexico that are coming over our borders. So there's a lot of opportunity for U.S. companies to say, you know what, I want to come closer. Maybe the labor will be a little higher, but what is the risks versus reward? Time, simply, time to market. Don't have to keep as much inventory. There's a lot of advantages.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that in working with those governors is important, and hopefully the federal government will normalize itself. And what I mean by that is, they have not created the most business-friendly environment, especially in the energy markets. If you're familiar with what's happened in 2014, where they freed up the energy markets in Mexico in looking at privatization, both for mining, for oil and gas, and also for wind energy and hydraulic and so forth. This new president that came in 2018 has kind of put a stop to that. He stopped having tenders, so public tenders for new oil fields. He's put a lot of money in the most debt-ridden oil and gas company in the world, which is Pemex. Put more money in that. He's trying to do more favorable environment for fossil fuels that are state-owned. And he's really looking at canceling a lot of the wind energy and clean energy market opportunities that have existed or are existing, and really causing a great opportunity in bringing down the costs of Maquila's operations and really the residential market.
So I was just about to ask you what the relationship is between those policies that you're describing and and making Mexico a more attractive place to manufacture. I think you just alluded to energy costs as one. Are there any other things that the Mexican government is doing that is hampering the ability of Mexico itself to serve as a source of manufacturing?
Well, so you're looking at billions of dollars that came in over the last 4 or 5 years in oil and gas and exploration and so forth. So we know that the foreign direct investment in that market, and again in clean energy markets, is pretty much dwindled down to nothing. They're trying to save what they have. The other things that they're doing that is a bit skeptical is a favoritization over the normalization. Now, there's unions in Mexico. There's been unions forever. But with what's happened is lately you have a favoritization on unions that really is a bit scary, to the point where they're looking at U.S. Organizations that have come in and trying to even advocate. U.S. unions advocate for to having more control over these Mexican foreign unions, which I think is unfortunate.
These unions are in the factories, or what kind of workers are unionized?
Yes, they're in the factories, mainly in the factories is what I'm seeing in the manufacturing sector.
Because I didn't think like in the maquila door factories that those have been unionized historically. Have they been?
In some cases, depending on the state, in some cases that's correct. They have been certainly put on notice, and they've had some strikes really as of late, and there's been some arrests and other things like that. But really, it's not the way to do business. And granted, if the higher the wages are in Mexico, or the more union labor that you have and you unionize, well, then the luster starts coming off of Mexico too, and you start looking at other places.
Just like in China, where the rates
like they did in China one time, right? Or you go down to Honduras or Nicaragua or somewhere else.
Or they come to the United States. I mean, there's certain manufacturers talking about just reshoring right here, and forget about being offshore at all.
Yes, sir. So Robert, you're absolutely right. I think you have a lot of manufacturers that are looking at coming home. Or gosh, maybe you look at, if I was building the entire water heater as an example, the entire water heater in China, now I'm going to do some parts in Mexico. I'm going to build some of that here, and then I'm just going to do the assembly on this side of the border. And that's what we see in some cases with some manufacturers today. Some parts are built in Mexico where it makes sense, and then they're bringing them over and manufacturing those here or assembling them here. In the case of a lot of it with Train or Carrier or Emerson, these major Fortune 500s that are doing this kind of stuff. So I think they're going to look at what ways they can sharpen the pencil, keep costs down, and hopefully the federal government will continue to have some type of normalization with attracting business. They did away with Pro-Mexico, which is kind of like their business arm of attracting foreign direct investment into Mexico with this new administration. There's been a huge amount of cutoffs, and frankly, there's a lot of uncertainty of socialism, which is brewing south of the border based on the policies of this new president, which does not make sense at all.
Tell me what is the process? How easy is it to get shipments across the border in both directions? Is there still a lot of red tape, customs agencies on both sides, or is that a fairly efficient process these days?
Now it's a very efficient process. You have various rail lines that you didn't have maybe even 10 years ago. You have the West Rail, which is the first rail yard built in the last 100 years that came online 3 years ago in Brownsville, Texas. You have expansion of rail in the Eagle Pass area with Burlington Northern and Union Pacific. And obviously you have the Kansas City Southern line that comes in through Laredo, and you have some others west of El Paso. But if you think about 70% of all NAFTA, or USMCA as we call it now, 70% plus, is really through Texas. So it's become very efficient to bring your products over that border, especially if you're CTPAT certified. If you have certain cargo security, certifications online, that really helps facilitate less inspections and so forth.
CTPAT, Customs Trade Partnership Against Terrorism.
That's correct. That's correct. 3 levels are available depending on the level. And my association has held CBP accountable for that as well, because, some of our members have said, hey, well, we spent millions of dollars in the supply chain and we're getting over the promised inspection percentage. And we've had to go back and take a look at, we need to, how do we sharpen this pencil? Because if they're following your regulations to a certain level, then there needs to be some kind of benefits. So I'm not saying that there's not long lines. There still is on normal processes. Granted, we're under COVID. The manufacturing is still a little unstable. Not everybody's running at 100%. So I would say it's much more efficient right now, because there's just less people crossing over that border. Remember, when you have 15,000 trucks going over that U.S. border from San Diego to Brownsville on a daily basis, and hundreds of thousands of travelers going over on a normal basis through the POV lanes, that's a lot of traffic.
Yeah, that's huge. Listen, we're almost out of time, but I do want to ask you this one other question. That is the question of security in Mexico. What are the concerns that manufacturers might have with regard to drug violence or violence of other kinds, terrorism or whatever? Is that an issue, a disincentive to produce in Mexico today?
That's a great question. And actually not, because there's not very many documented attacks on a maquila or a U.S. manufacturer in Mexico. They kind of stay away from that. The bad influences stay away from that, because they know that any attacks on those really becomes a very, very big problem for them, both domestically and internationally. You don't want U.S. passing another border supplemental bill and making it harder for them to cross their drugs or whatever they're doing. So it's very, very difficult to see any type of retaliation against maquilas or U.S. Entities or people crossing over that border. That it's so minuscule that it's almost non-reportable.
Yeah. Hey, Nelson Balido, I want to thank you so much for spending time with me to talk about the situation in manufacturing in Mexico, the possibilities in either direction. Thanks a lot for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Robert. Appreciate you.